My friends, good day. How do you find a job in 2026? I've been thinking about this question literally since Christmas and asking myself, what are the profound changes happening in the market today? So, one of the profound changes we can identify is the increasingly massive arrival of AI. It basically started with consumer AI, ChatGPT, in 2023, almost 3 years ago. But since then, it has spread like wildfire. Since then, you have AIs, agents, whatever you want, we see them for almost everything. What has it changed in recruitment and how can we adapt to it? So I'll give you two adaptation strategies and I'll tell you what has changed. So here's what has changed. When I was in recruitment, we used to receive resumes. So we would post a job ad on LinkedIn, in a newspaper, on a website, all that. It didn't matter. We would spread them everywhere and then we would get responses. So the responses looked like this. On one side, you have a resume in PDF, Word, whatever, 2 pages, 3 pages, 1 page. And then you have a cover letter that comes with it, maybe a letter, what we call a motivation letter. There are people who are allergic to that term. Yes, you shouldn't write a motivation letter. We don't do that anymore. But what are you going to do? Just send a recruiter a resume and say, see attached. No one will read it, I assure you. That's why I'll tell you, just between us, you'll see how I look at the resume as a recruiter. I'm going to rack my brain, try to interpret your life, take the resume, look a bit at your biography to try to understand who you are, what you do. No, go ahead, tell me, go on, explain it to me, make an effort. Tell me in a scientific way who you are. Explain to me why I should open the resume. That's very important. When someone sends their resume and doesn't include a cover letter, AI or no AI, no one is going to open it. I guarantee you. Okay, it happened to me to go to interviews without even having opened the resume. And do you know why? Because people, especially in the United Kingdom, would put so much nonsense in their resumes. Sometimes I would arrive in the room, I would start like this. I had the resume printed, still warm from the printer, like that. I hadn't read it, that was honest. I would put it on the table and say, you know, it's been a very tough day. With everything going on, I didn't have time to read your resume. Can you tell me a little bit about where you're from, what you do? Tell me a bit about your background, especially your most recent experience and the skills related to this job. You see, it's not a difficult question. You see, it's not a tricky question. I just mean, go ahead, tell me about yourself. Go on, tell me who you are, introduce yourself. You see, that's actually a very tough question at its core, but it already allows you to evaluate the person. We'll see if the person is comfortable. We'll see if they can speak calmly, quietly in an unusual situation, or like a recruiter who admits they haven't read the resume. Well, let's continue. The problem with AI is the following. Back then, you could read the email or the cover letter and the resume. And right away, you could guess whether the person was probably qualified for the position or not. Whether the person read the job posting or not, whether the person is just spamming everything or not. See, we already had a first impression, a first judgment, which we ended up confirming later. But already, just by reading, you pretty much knew who you were dealing with. Today, with AI, all of that is over. That means the guy can send you, for example, I don't know, imagine he has a company that says, yes, we want fluent German, and then they'll require you to apply in German. The guy will send you an email in German. Perfect, perfect. See what I mean? Even though he doesn't speak German, I can send you emails in 50 languages. I just have to ask the AI to write the email. Make me one in Russian, one in Spanish, one, I don't know, in Argentinian. Careful, that's not the same Spanish as used in Spain, etc. Well, there you go. I could have it just as perfectly for the resume then. The problem is, we're going to end up more and more in a situation where applications are standardized. That means they'll all be, at least on paper, perfect. How are we going to tell the difference? And how can you stand out? So you have two options, there's one that. For example, you use AI as well, because then 3, I would say you don't use AI. You will send your unsolicited application, for example, or in response to a job posting, and you don't use AI. You say that's contrarian. It's really the contrarian approach. I would have done it, I would have tried it, not for every job, but I would have tried. I would have written something written by a human, for example, something like that. By the way, there are plenty of... The problem we also have is that what I'm seeing here, you go contrarian, you send a human response, etc. Yes and no, let me tell you why. You send a human response. So if you expect us to act, you're human. Unfortunately, very often on the other side, you also have a bot. You see what I mean? So you're going to write in a human way, thinking it will be appreciated. Well, on the other side, you have a bot that doesn't understand what you're saying. It's going to eliminate you. By the way, it's really, really stupid, one thing. There aren't any companies that say, yes, don't use AI to apply. I mean, they write it at the bottom of the ad. Don't use AI. Even though they use AI to respond to people, they use AI to process applications and all that. You see what I mean? It's totally absurd. However, I can tell you one thing if you want to play devil's advocate. Don't use AI if you're reaching out on LinkedIn, for example, to a recruiter, a company boss, all that. Write them an email and do it by hand, and don't use AI. And say it, because I can tell you when I open my LinkedIn inbox, I find 30 or 40 messages and 90%. When you read them, you recognize the dashes from ChatGPT. You recognize the twisted style of ChatGPT, all that. You know it right away. When I see that it's bots bombarding me, I don't have time for that. I'm not even going to read them. You see, so if you want to be contrarian, yes, but do it wisely. Do it when it's the right time. Act human. Make sure it's a human who's going to read it. Otherwise, it's useless. You're just going to waste your time for nothing. So that's the first approach. Second approach, you can use AI yourself to apply since everyone is using it. Go ahead, I'm giving you the green light. The partner of this channel, which is called Candy Boost, is meilleurjob.com. I'm giving you a voucher that lets you use this service for a month for less than 10 euros, which allows you to send up to 300 spontaneous applications using AI. You upload your resume, you define your geographic area, it will find jobs and companies that match your profile and automatically send them an application on your behalf. They don't know it's coming from this system. It will be a really neat, well-prepared application that will arrive. You should know that 80% of open positions are not necessarily published. Only 20% are actually posted. So they specialize in finding unpublished positions, companies that are hiring but don't post their openings. So that can help you with something else. The other thing is you're going to use a completely different technique. And I think this one has a great future. But it's not scalable. But precisely because it's not scalable, that's why it works. It's about being more personal. It means using. Go see companies, for example. I was talking to a boss the other day, a boss who's in a kind of industry. Someone showed up one morning, look, the boss, put yourself in his shoes, the boss. It's not that he doesn't want to hire. It's not that he reads resumes. His goal isn't to reject people or say no. He wants to hire. I sometimes mention bosses desperate to hire because they quickly respond to resumes. Many of them don't even show up for the interview, and some who do show up for the interview don't even come on the first day of work. Nothing. You have to know that for other people, it's also very difficult because thanks to AI or because of AI, as you can see, what's happening is that there are a lot of candidates who are able to present a perfect application on paper. They don't want to work. You see, then they show up. And then on Monday, well, it's been 3 months since they've had a job. They've developed habits. They sleep at 4 a.m. They play online. They party, all that. And then one evening, it's Sunday in the morning. They have to be at work at 8 a.m. And then the alarm rings. After that, he's in a hurry. He wakes up at 11 a.m. And then they're going to finish. All right, that's a reality too. I'm telling you, what I'm saying is serious. So here we have, it's a little bit. Sometimes I have men who contact me saying, I can't find a good woman in this world. Where is she and everything? Sometimes women message me 20 minutes later saying they can't find a good guy. And it's the same in the working world. Just as some people struggle to find a job, employers also struggle to find employees. So that's where AI is taking us. Okay, so as I was saying, this boss hired someone because that person showed up. Look, there are plenty of people who sent their resumes and the boss knows their resumes. Very often, they're not going to come. They're not going to bother. They say anything in their resumes. So even if he goes through the resumes, he has no illusions. Then at some point, a guy shows up. For example, I'll talk to the boss. Yes, but who are you? Candidate, you posted a job ad? Yes, but write your resume. Yes, I know, but I'm very motivated, really. I'd like to give it to you. Can I talk to the recruiter? I'll make an appointment for you. It's okay. I can wait here, no problem. I'm very motivated and eager for this job, but we called the boss. What does he want? Well, it's about the ad. Well, I think it was a promotion and the person was hired. You see what I mean? These are things that aren't scalable. These are things you can't do. You can't do that on a large scale. You see, you have to go yourself. You're just one person. You can't send 10 robots in your place to 10 different companies. That's very interesting. The direct approach on LinkedIn, reaching out to people on LinkedIn, that's very interesting. But be careful. You need to know how to use it, react to posts, network, contact people through others who know them. So it's a bit harder, it's more delicate. You'll never send 1,000 requests a month. You might do 2 or 3. Each one will have taken you some time, but it has a higher chance of success these days. Going to see companies at trade shows, people who are informed about the companies. One day I was in the office working. I was contacted back in the tech days by a recruiter who worked for the Danish company Maersk. The ones who do shipping. That shipping company, when you look at it from the outside, you get the impression that, well, their job is to transport containers. Yeah, that's true, to transport containers, except that's not all they do. They manage, they digitize entire ports. It's a company. They're also a port management developer. They can automate everything. And so they have some investors in tech, in information technology. That was my case. I get a call for what? And I, out of the blue, from a guy who works for them, says, yes, there you go, we're hiring for this. And that's it, that's all. Interesting for people. And that gave him things he didn't even know himself. From his company, he learned things. You see what I mean? How he names their boat, often with the 2 women from that family, all that he didn't know. The guy, you see, it created a quick connection, an immediate connection. He was very happy because he really likes this company. He had been there for years and years, and he met someone who really appreciates what this company does. You see, the connection, it was created. Well, in the end, I was able to get a lot of things from him and all that. It stopped at some point because the salary I was asking for wasn't too high for them. You see, it's not a big deal, but there was a very good relationship. And honestly, looking back, I would have liked to work for them. Except that I don't negotiate on salary at most. You know me, I can like a company for money. I don't work because they're nice or because I like them or because they have a long history or anything like that. It helps, of course, but it's not enough. So also one last thing, honestly, maybe I can give you is to develop recognized expertise in the field. That means because you can't just do it like that. If you want, for example, to get into cybersecurity, yes, it's easy for a company to publish. To have 1,000 candidates who apply with perfect resumes. But not all candidates, for example, will have the certifications related to the company's field. Not all candidates will have, for example, a very popular, well-known blog. Not all candidates will have a Twitter account with thousands and thousands of followers or specialists who follow them because it's very specialized, it's very interesting. So develop a recognized expertise. Of course, this part, I'm telling you, if you're looking for a job for tomorrow morning or next week, it's too late for this, right? But think that today, we're going into a world where you need a presence. People, for example, who say, I've had people sometimes in consultations who tell me, yes, I'm looking for a job in tech or something else. I don't have LinkedIn. Is that important? There you go. If you don't have LinkedIn, you can still find a job on LinkedIn. I have no problem with that, except that you're cutting your chances at least in half. And honestly, I'm being generous. You need to have an online presence. You need to have online visibility to be recognized for what you do. You see, and that's very important because that kind of recognition isn't scalable either. You can't have 1,000 people doing it like that overnight just because they want to find a job. It's something that happens over time, but start doing it now. Don't wait until you need it. If you start now, in 2 years, 3 years, maybe you'll need it. You'll be very glad to have it, okay, that reputation you've built. Thank you anyway for watching this video up to this point. If I think of anything else, of course, I'll come and talk about it. Keep sending your questions to the phone number I keep giving you, the WhatsApp. And then check out the sponsor of this video, Candy Boost. All right, try their service if you want. You have the voucher in the pinned comment. See you in the next video. See you very soon.